evening. Good evening, all. We're back once again. It's the Shinzabu's Football Show, the best football show you probably never heard about, but you heard about it now. We're live on YouTube and VMix. I'll make this as short as possible, the intro. A little bio on the show, of course. We're a fan-based show. We give your opinions, we take your opinions, we talk a little about football locally, internationally. And you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Our email address, shinzabooks@gmail.com. And we usually start with a little bit of trivia also. And this month, I say we're going to go every month now. The question is, who scored the first goal of the FIFA 2022 World Cup? That answer will come just before the end of the show. But with me this evening, he'll be here briefly, but I managed to snare for about 10, 15 minutes. One of the things we love to do in Shinzabu Football is we bring fans to give their thoughts on the beautiful game that is football. Our first guest ever on the new Shinzabu Football Show is freelance journalist Randy Bennett. Randy, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
First off, just let me say good night to all the viewers. My name is Randy Bennett. I've been a journalist for just over 15 years. Worked at the Nation newspaper, Barbados Today. Currently just doing some freelance work. But it's a pleasure to be on your show tonight, Kevin.
Thank you. But how long? We've been back and forth now for almost a year, isn't it?
It's true.
Right. Being a football fan, you must have a team that you support. We just jump straight into it.
Yeah, I'm a Man U supporter. I've been a Man U supporter for a while. I remember back in 1989 when we did the treble. I remember being a fan back then. I was really drawn to the team at that point, based on the fact that we had Dwight York, a Trinidadian, a Caribbean man, and I found myself watching a lot of Dwight playing, and because of that, I adopted Manchester United as my favorite club. I've been holding a lot of stick for that recently, though, Kevin. But I'm a diehard supporter, so you gotta roll the punches sometimes, man.
Right. Now, we're going to get to that just now. It's early in the season, but would you say you're happy with the performance of the team last season, leading into this season so far?
Definitely not. If I'm being honest, I don't think that we have the players to really compete with the Man Cities and the Arsenals of the Premier League. I don't think, you know, I think we're living off of past history in terms of our achievements and our accolades. And I really don't like the fit of Eric Ten Hag right now with the current squad. I don't think that he's doing a good enough job. I don't think he's utilizing the players in the right positions. I don't think that he's playing the right starting 11s on a weekly basis. So really and truly, I don't have much expectations this year for Manchester United in terms of challenging for titles or trophies. I honestly would be happy probably with like a top six finish in the Premiership. Anything apart from that, I think I would consider gravy, to be honest.
So you're saying then, in a nutshell, that even though you won a trophy last season, the FA Cup, that doesn't really cut it.
For a team like Manchester United, winning an FA Cup definitely doesn't cut it. I mean, we are accustomed to winning titles. We are accustomed to competing. Whenever Manchester United usually puts an 11 on the field, it is a 11 that could usually beat anybody. I mean, when you look back at the Cristiano Ronaldos and like the top guys that we had back in the day, this Manchester United team is a shell of its former self. And then when you
Mm.
couple that with the fact that we have Ten Hag, who I don't think is managing the players well. We have the situation with Sancho. Um, Ian Ten Hag had a bit of a rift last season, sent him to Dortmund. He performed well there. He helped the team to a Champions League final. He returned back to the squad this season. Ten Hag said that the issues between them had been resolved, but yet he still can't get into the first team. No, there are talks of him being traded and stuff like that. And if you look at the performance for the first three games of this season, I mean, we won. I think it was Fulham that we won the first game, one love. But
Right, they
even
won
that
the
performance,
first game. Right,
right,
they
one
lost
love,
to I know, beat Fulham. Lost
and
to
then
Brighton,
lost
lost to Liverpool at the
Brighton
weekend.
and lost to Liverpool. Even the win against Fulham, it wasn't a convincing win, Kevin, if I'm being honest.
Mhm.
And then obviously you had the loss to Brighton and the horrible performance against Liverpool. We actually looked like a bottom of the table side in that match against Liverpool. So right now, I'm hoping for the best. I mean, we just gave Ten Hag an extension, which means that the management obviously have faith in him and they expect that he's going to deliver. But we know in the world of sports, these things can change really fast, Kevin. So I think that if he doesn't get a grip early on in the season, he may be looking at an early exit.
Would you say that the league would have been more competitive, gotten more competitive since 1999 till now? Because you gotta remember, Alex Ferguson was he had to be respected, and some of the things that the guys do now, I don't think they would have risked it when he was around. But he had to quit sometime. But you think you think the league has become more competitive, or people are just better than Manchester United at this present moment?
Well, definitely the league became more competitive. I mean, for the last few seasons, though, I mean, even though Man City has been the best team in the Premiership, they've still had to come some competition, right? They've won three titles in a row. They're looking in great form already for the season. But about 5 or 6 years ago, Chelsea was also in the mix in terms of one of the top teams. So I think it's gotten more competitive, and obviously because certain teams have now fallen from the podium, teams like Manchester United, they're not really a premier destination now. So I think a lot of the top players don't necessarily don't want to come to Man U. So they're going to other teams, which in itself is good for the football because those teams then become more competitive. Albeit it means that Manchester United we're going to lose out on some of the top players, and our squad isn't really going to improve. But I think all around it helps to improve the football because it will help to lift the standard of the other teams.
I would put this to you, right? That it is more about money now. Because look at you have these Saudis walking in now and they're offering big salaries. The guys going, you can't kill them. So I would say that this whole thing about giving a guy a new contract and hoping he stays doesn't cut it anymore. Because the market comes with more money. Who's to say that Manchester United's best player gets offered a contract by Real Madrid? He isn't gonna say no. Because Real Madrid is the team right now. You know, there are certain things you don't say no to. Real Madrid is one of them. I mean, they're European champions. And now Annie Mbappe makes them better now because I saw one game with Mbappe and he fits like a glove. So how do you keep your best players in Manchester United now knowing that a team like Real Madrid could come knocking on the door? What do you do?
Absolutely nothing. You can't do a thing. I mean, like, this has been happening for a long time. But to me, it comes down to
Mm-hmm.
this: there are two types of players, not only in football, in all sports. There are players who want to win, and those players would sacrifice for the sake of winning a title, winning a championship. Those guys would take less money to go to a team that is a better team, a better fit, a championship team. And in those cases, those players tend um, you can keep those players a little bit longer because they aren't necessarily drawn by money. When you look at someone like Mbappe, he was just offered a record deal there from Saudi Arabia, but Mbappe is among one of the greatest strikers, and he wants to have his name etched in history. So he isn't really lured by the big money. At least not right now. He's worried. He's really concentrating now on building a name for himself, becoming one of the best strikers in the world, going to Real Madrid and winning the Champions League and La Liga, and being mentioned around the Cristiano Ronaldos and Modrics and the Messis and stuff like that. But then there are other players who are lured by money. Those are players in a lot of instances who aren't necessarily best players, who are a lot of mid-level players that may not necessarily see themselves winning titles or maybe not aren't sure about their future in the sports and are players that are coming to the end of their careers. And those players are the ones that you really can't keep because then when when the Saudis come and offering them wages like $600,000 a week and stuff like that. Like they aren't good enough to be offered
Well,
that
go
kind of
ahead.
money in the Premier League. They're going to get that,
Because,
so they're going to go for the money.
but let's be realistic too. I mean, at the end, of the day, there's a job, and I would dare to say that when you're in a job and a guy offers you a little bit more than we are getting, you're gonna think along down your lines, well, look, I got money to spend. I got to take care of my family because in the grand scheme of things, sports money shall plays in that long, no matter what sport it is. Because football is one of these things that you can lose form, you can get injured. You got a couple of guys that you remember Ramadan Falcao? You remember Falcao? Right. He was a terror, but ACL finished him. And he was never, even though he had gotten better, the injury had healed, yes, but he got older and he was not the same. But Randy, I will let you go because remember you said we had a run. Now I would ask you one more question. The other Arsenal fan here waiting to get on, but you let you go along because I know you got stuff to do. So what I would do is try and get him next time to let you guys, this coming season, what are you looking for performance wise from Manchester United?
I am setting my expectation level very low, Kevin. I don't want to be disappointed. I was one of the people when Ten Hag came to Manchester United. I was a little bit skeptical at first, if I'm being honest. I was a little bit skeptical. I didn't think at the time that he was the right person. Um, but he started out. He didn't initially. He didn't do a bad job, right? But I think um, he's lost control of the dressing room. To me, I don't think a lot of the players really respect him the same way how they would have looked up to Sir Alex that you
Different.
mentioned. But Sir Alex is a different
Yep.
fish altogether, though. He's a different fish. But I think that
Mm,
Sir Alex had complete control, and he had to deal with personalities like Cristiano Ronaldo and David Beckham and those guys who were not only superstars; those guys were celebrities, and he was able to
mhm.
maintain that respect, keep their respect, and control the dressing room. I don't think that is the situation right now with Ten Hag. I'm not saying he's necessarily a bad coach, but I don't think he's a good fit right now. Like I said,
Mm.
Manchester United right now is not a quality side. We have about three
All
or
right.
four
So
good players, so I really can't expect much. I would like a top six finish, Kevin. That is the honest truth. Top
that you
six,
looking you
I
looking
like
more
happy
top
with that.
six anything else after. Top
Anything
six
else after
anything else
that for me
after.
is gravy. Right. Yeah.
All right, Ronnie, what you would do? I let you run. I will let you go on because you know you tell me you got some other things to do. But what I will do, I will see if I can get you back here next month. The Arsenal fan is holding on. I think they'll get you two guys together because Arsenal are right in now behind. So I'm ready to hear what you say. But Randy, thanks for taking time out, man. And I'll be in
Okay, no
touch.
problem.
And you hear more from us. Well, you hear
Okay,
more from
thanks
me
a lot.
actually.
Yeah, it was a
Okay,
pleasure,
cool.
man.
So that was
Thanks.
all right. Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure having you. That was Randy Bennett, photojournalist, and standing by, probably sharpening his claws right now to share some lashes. But before we that, Carlos, I know you're there. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten you. What we do is just probably just go through the scores really quick. There wasn't much football this weekend, but I'll just go through it really, really quick. We had Friday. We had two games in confidence, of course. The printout, the scores coming, of course, source of Sky Sports. Like to thank them. We saw in Serie A, there were two games on the 30th. Venezia, they lost to Torino 1-0. Inter Milan, they beat Atalanta 4-0. There was one game in the Bundesliga. FC Union Berlin, they beat San Poli 1-0. And of course, Saturday, of course, was the busiest day in the league. Busiest day in all the leagues. We have, let's just pick the, for thing of time, context of time, I'll just go through them really, really fast. We saw in Serie A, there were four games. Bologna, they drew Empoli 1-0. Lecce, they beat Cagliari 1-0. Lazio and AC Milan drew 2-0. Napoli, they beat Parma 2-1. And in La Liga, Barcelona scored 7 against Valladolid, newly promoted team. Athletic Bilbao. they lost to Atletico Madrid 1-0. Espanyol, they beat Rayo Vallecano 2-1. Leganés, they lost to Real Mallorca 1-0. And Valencia drew Villarreal 1-all. And in the Bundesliga, Bochum, they beat Borussia Mönchengladbach 2. They lost to Borussia Mönchengladbach 2-0. Frankfurt, they beat Hoffenheim 3-1. Holstein Kiel, that's the newly promoted team. They lost to Wolfsburg 2-0. Stuttgart and Mainz drew 3-0. Werder Bremen, they drew 0-0 with Borussia Dortmund. Of course, the big surprise of the weekend, Bayer Leverkusen, previously unbeaten. They lost their first game in the Bundesliga. They lost to Leipzig 3-2. And we go real swiftly on to the Premiership. We saw Arsenal, they drew with Brighton 1-all. Brentford, they beat Southampton 3-1. Everton, that was an exciting game. I saw that. They lost to Bournemouth 3-2. And that was weird because Everton were leading at one time and Bournemouth scored 3 quick goals coming down to the end. Newly promoted Ipswich, they got their first points. They drew with Fulham 1-all. Leicester City, they lost to Aston Villa 2-1. Wolverhampton Wanderers and Nottingham Forest, they drew 1-all. West Ham United, they lost to rampant Manchester City 3-1. Erling Haaland getting a hat trick. How regular we heard that. Moving on to Sunday, we saw, let's go scroll really quick here. Of course, the City Sports, spring upcoming compliments of Sky Sports. Let's go here. Right, in Serie A, there were 4 games on Sunday. Udinese, they beat Como 1-0. Juventus and Roma, they drew 0-0. Genoa and Verona. Genoa lost 2-0 to Verona. Fiorentina and Monza drew 2-all. And in La Liga, Alaves, they beat Las Palmas 2-0. Osasuna beat Celta Vigo 3-2. Sevilla lost to Girona 2-0. Getafe, they drew 0-0. Real Sociedad. Real Madrid, they beat Real Betis 2-0. And in the Bundesliga, there were 2 games. Heidenheim, 1846, they beat Augsburg 4-0. Bayern Munich, they beat Freiburg 2-0. And of course, in the Premiership, we saw Chelsea drawing with Crystal Palace 1-all. Newcastle United beat Tottenham Hotspur 2-1. Manchester United, they lost to Liverpool 3-0. And I could hear Carol say laughing in the background. Of course, it's the international break. A lot of people are not too happy with that. So I thought I'll bring Carlos on, our first guest fan for the season, Arsenal fan. You're an Arsenal fan wearing a Brazil shirt. How weird is that? Good evening, sir. How are you doing? All right, you're on mute. You gotta take off. He's on mute. You gotta take off. We can't hear you. You gotta take off mute. And he froze.
Hey, good
Carlos, can you
evening.
hear me?
Yeah,
Great.
yeah,
I
I
was
can hear
saying
you.
it's strange. You're an Arsenal fan and wearing a Brazil shirt. How strange is that?
Yeah, well, I support a great club team and support a great international team. Yeah, so it's just greatness.
Well, here's a little secret for you. I support Brazil, but I'm not. Brazil, like, I'm sorry, Ryan, is here. Brazil, like, the current West Indies team living on past glory. And I say that with no
Well, yeah,
apology whatsoever.
but that's a fact.
Right,
The
so,
team they have not
mm,
the Brazil team is not the same. No.
they're living on past glory because the thing is, too, right, a lot of those guys end up going to Europe. And they're not playing the fluent style they used to play anymore. It's more European based now. But La Paz Brazil got
Yeah,
famous number 11 as Romario, right?
correct.
Number 11,
Legend.
Romario. Yeah.
That's it. Legend. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry that Randy had to go, right? Because strange story between Carlos and I, of course, we mentioned we met a really strange place. And decided he come on today and take off a few people. So I'm sorry Randy isn't around, but I promised Randy
Yeah.
I'll bring you back along with him, and you guys can go at it. But
Mm.
Arsenal, how did the love of Arsenal come about?
To tell the truth, about maybe 2022, about maybe 21, nah, about 23 years ago. I saw
Wow.
Arsenal play, and well, first of all, it was one of the first English teams that I saw with so much black guys. To tell the
Right.
truth,
Yeah.
and it wasn't filled with a lot of Englishmen. There was a lot of guys from different countries, but I just absolutely
Mm.
fell in love with the style of play. Um, and then of course I see Thierry Henry playing, and that was it. It done. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
everyone
I
knows
I
Thierry
fell in love with the team. Then
Henry. Mm.
the style of play is what I actually love though. Love the play. It to me it was different than what was being played in England. And
Mm.
I think that to me they kind of helped to change how the game is played in top flight football in England. What Arsene Wenger
I
brought in, I
remember,
think it helped to change it too.
right, because remember I had two managers, funny Bruce York and George Graham. They were playing a
Yeah.
more defensive. I remember the guy, the French Legion out there was Patrick Vieira. I remember watching him at Inter
Hmm.
Milan, and Arsenal bought him. And then I think Henri came from, I think he was at Juventus, isn't it? Yeah, he was at Juventus,
No, no,
but he wasn't playing much.
he was at Juventus. Yeah, he came
But he
over
wasn't
from them.
playing
Yeah, I
much.
think so.
Right, he came from
Hmm.
there, and he was a winger that converted to a striker.
That's
But I
right. Yeah.
remember he had, yeah, 'cause he had electric pace. I mean, they call him the greatest. Would you say right now he's the greatest Premiership striker right now?
That hard. I honestly, I love Henry, of course, but I honestly think that Wright was a little bit better than him in terms of being a striker. Ian Wright, I think he was a little
But
bit better. I know
well, you remember something too, right? Football changed a lot because there were the comparisons came a couple of years ago, if you can remember, when they were saying that they wonder if Messi came to England if he survived, right?
he wouldn't.
And football
Some
changed a
people
lot.
so, but
And
anyway,
football,
that's just me.
because the thing is, right? Football changed. I didn't know a debate for the Messi fans. How could the Messi world ever only play one place? Where you only play like what, two places? France and
Yeah,
that's a debate for another day.
I,
But
I, yeah, that's the thing. When debating Messi fans, it's kind of difficult. But yeah,
yeah, but it would tell you win a World Cup, right? That's what it would tell you, which is true, we did.
yeah,
And then with the benefit,
he finally win a World Cup. Yeah, even though I
and the
think they kind of
Ronaldo
give you that
fans
World
would
Cup
tell you,
because of
I ain't even touching that one.
I,
Anyway,
no, I never see. No, honestly, I'd be truthful. I have never seen a World. I think Argentina had a penalty in every single game they played. I'm not kidding. But anyway,
it's a fact.
but yeah,
But anyway,
but the
you gotta
game,
see when you get some,
but the
you
English
gotta
game
see
has
what,
changed, and to me, I think that, like I said, I think Arsenal was actually instrumental in actually changing the game. And for right
mm,
now, the team itself, I'm not very happy with the team to tell the truth, because um, I was having a discussion about a week or two ago, because I kind of
mm,
connected with the guys on AFTV from England, right? So I think that we missed out on the transfer window, and I'm not sure what Arteta's strategy is. I know a lot of the people trust him now because of the way he has brought the team, but
mm,
we needed a forward, if nothing else. If we had used all that money that we sell Smith Rowe and sell Nketiah and bought ourselves a forward, what some people call a killer. If we had a kill, that would take us over the top, honestly, because we bought a midfielder, which we don't need. Then we bought a left back, which we don't really need. You understand? But they were available, and for some reason, Arteta liked Mourinho real bad, so he went in for Mourinho. But for me, we needed a striker and a right winger, somebody just to take some of the load
Yeah.
off of Saka. We didn't get that. So, and the problem is we got it on we bench because we really don't have a bench right now. The most effective player off the bench right now is fighting to start, which is Trossard. So when you look at the bench, when you're in games and you need somebody to come off the bench to make a change, the problem is the only body on the bench is going to be either Jesus if he's healthy or Martinelli, right? Them really ain't game changers because I tell people all the time, Jesus is a better player playing not playing center forward, but playing a little bit on the left up on the right because he's better with his face to the goal than his back to the goal. When he faces up and he go at players, he's much better. He either shoots, he make a really good pass, or he can beat, or he can take on a player and beat them to the goal and make things happen. He's better that way. So he's not really good in the position that we usually play him in, which is what Havertz is now. So we will get goals against certain teams, but you see when we play in the better teams, we gonna need that killer. And you see when we playing in games where teams have real low block against us, and they're really behind the ball, and we struggling to even get shots or get opportunities, that's where we're gonna need the killer. Man City was scoring goals for fun before Haaland come, and they went and get Haaland. And what they do? They win the Champions League. Yes, he did not. He was instrumental in winning it in terms of the late stages. But coming up to that, he was doing well. And he took pressure off of them inside of the league because he was scoring so much goals during games. So when he'd playing by halftime, the game is done. So the game done because he scored 2, and just like he just said, he scored hat tricks of fun now. So he scored 2, he scored 3. The game finished, Manchester City cruising, so they don't have to worry about much. They went and got a killer, and they didn't really need one because of the scoring goals. We need to get one. I don't know what Arteta's strategy is. We don't really have a bench, but I got to see exactly what happened, especially in that Tottenham game. Yes, I know if Tottenham is going to be at full strength, we're going to really see because there are going to be times, and we're going to play games that Havertz is not going to factor in at all. And we need that player with that instinct. For me, going to get Tony would have been a good idea. But rumors were apparently Teta and Edu didn't like his attitude, which I don't understand what that means. But anyway.
I will put this to you. I can be the devil's advocate here now. Arteta is not that guy to push you over the hump. Because I look at him like someone that could take you as far as he came second twice, right?
Mhm.
In any other realm, I would have gone rid of him because second is not good enough. Call me a harsh taskmaster, right? To me, it's first or nothing.
You're a
And
Chelsea
he
fan, that's
isn't
why.
that person, right? He is not that man to get you over the hump. And you see, the best managers right now are people like Ancelotti, Pep.
Mhm.
Those are the 2 best in the business right now. And I got Ancelotti at number 1 because
Mm.
Ancelotti is that person. He plays a player to his strength. He want to put Vinicius Junior on his side in the field because Vinicius Junior is a winger. He's not going to put Camavinga.
Mm.
Camavinga could play anywhere, but Camavinga's best position is defensive midfield. There's another like Tuchemi. His best position is in midfield. So he doesn't shift like what are you doing? Jorginho's not fit for that thing. Jorginho was at Chelsea and he didn't really do anything, right? People talk how good Kai Havertz is his Arsenal, but what's Kai Havertz's real role? Somebody don't know. It's just that you put Kai Havertz in that team, he can play well there. He would not play well at Chelsea because Chelsea has to make room for himself, and he's getting the service at Arsenal now, right? But if Arsenal really want to win a title, they need to get over that hump. Arteta's not fella to get it. Sorry. So how we will counter that?
Well, the thing about it, that's not surprising coming from you because you're a Chelsea fan. And Chelsea changed managers like how people change their underwear when they
I
bathe.
don't think we're. I don't personally. I don't.
So
But hold on.
no.
Personally, I don't. Let me finish. Let me finish. I don't think Maresca is that good for what he's seen so far. He has to prove to me. I remember standing another Chelsea fan that I would give him, 10, 12 games. But you see some things that happened last two games he played. Even though he won 5-2, great. There were still some flaws there. Because Wolves lost three of their best men.
Mhm.
They lost who the guy defender was at West Ham now. Tillman, they lost him. They
Kilman.
lost Pedro Neto, and that's right. And they lost somebody else too that went to Saudi Arabia. And Wolves is not going to be that team.
Yeah, Neves.
Chelsea's not the team they used to
Neves.
be. Because another thing, huh? Ruben Neves, right? They
They
lost him.
lost Neves. Mhm.
Right.
But but
Chelsea is
but
not
to your
that team
point
that's
though,
going
Kevin.
to.
Mm.
Yeah.
But to your point regarding
Chelsea,
Arteta,
right.
I think he can. I don't know.
But the thing with the better, to me,
Okay, so to your
they gave thing a referee. The guy Aston Villa now, Emery, they gave him a referee. He was annoying by it. But again, right?
right, they gave him a rough. Mhm.
I don't think because he's no mug. I mean, the guy won the Europa League 3 years in a row, and that easy. And he's no mug in Europe right now. The thing is with Arsenal, right? Arsenal is not. Oh, they have a good team, yes, but again, Arteta is not the man to push them over the hump. They need somebody because their Arsenal problem is more mental. Because they don't know when they get to that, it's like, what we do next? They lose a game, they can't bounce back. Because everybody knows, right? And it's done 2 years in a row. Arsenal only all out, lose two games down the stretch and they're done. Tell me different.
So he might take about Arteta. No, I would have either Emery or Arteta. It doesn't really matter. Yes, I think they gave Emery a hard time. They didn't give him time to build the squad that he
Yeah,
wanted to
but
build, and that was
but Curtis
unfair
like
because
to tell you,
he was now coming behind.
mm, but I would tell you something though,
So
right?
he was
You
now
know
coming
how
behind.
sports is now.
Mm,
Sports now, right? Let's
listen,
be realistic. Sports is results based now. Business, I should say, right? People right
mm,
now are more interested in winning. All right, let me stop this. All right, let me stop this a minute. You still there?
yeah, I see you. If you can hear me, I can hear you. I can. Well, you picture stop.
Right, yeah, right. What we study
Yeah,
right
you're back.
is
You're
that
back. Mm.
people talk about giving time, giving time, giving time. That game don't play anymore. Look at all the sports that you have right now.
Man, no, no
Time
man,
don't mean
Kevin,
nothing no
man,
more.
you too inculcated in the Chelsea culture. You too in the Chelsea culture where
No,
when each
no, no.
coach after
But
a, a coach
let's be
a coach.
hold on. Let's
Listen,
be realistic,
listen to
right?
me, man.
Hold on.
A
Let's be
coach
realistic.
one of your coach won the Champions League, won the Champions League, and the next season you
Huh?
fair. One of your coach
Yeah,
won the Premier League, and the next season you fair. That's and
because the thing is,
so
you
that's where your
gotta
club is.
understand something,
That's where
right?
your club is this way
Listen,
now.
but how much trophies they won, even though they fired the coach? How
Yes,
much
you won
trophies they
trophies,
won, even though
but
they fired coach?
eventually
I
it
remember
comes back to haunt you. Look at your
I
club now.
remember
Look, but
the
eventually
politicians who get listen, the politicians who get rid of Abramovich because that thing goes way no seriously that thing goes way beyond football, right? Because the English governments who get rid of Abramovich, he had to give up the club because of this war with Russia. Now you firing a man because
yeah, I understand the
he's friend.
politics and the geopolitics with that.
Yeah,
But
the
tell
politics.
but to tell the truth though,
Mm,
could Abramovich
mm.
really exist? Could Abramovich in the way he run the club now, he run the club then, could he really exist in the FFP environment? Because the
Mm.
same FFP environment is why your club doing this nonsense. Your club buying
But,
everybody that who can kick on football, getting some long
mm,
contract, and then you can't get rid of them. Or
but you
you're
know,
selling so much of your
uh,
academy players to try and make profit. And you're
because
not building a squad that you can say, well, they're
because
going to
the
compete for the
Americans
next
take
5 years. You
listen,
don't think so?
all right, look at the American how the Americans run their business model, right? Americans run a business,
Mm.
right? You remember Donald Trump took
Mm.
over the government in the states. You see how he operate. Everything that Barack Obama did, he tried to erase. As the Americans do at Chelsea, no, everything
Mm.
that Obama did, they're trying to erase that because Americans are very vindictive. I would say this openly, they are because I personally see, right? The government, they're like Abramovich, and England's supposed to be, they were in league with Ukraine, whatever that means, and that spilled over to the sport, and that should happen. Because when you look at it, right, the politicians can still do business with the Russians anyway, but this is a political program, though. We can read on our own, right? But
Yeah, I
a lot of
understand.
politics mixed up,
But
right?
mm.
A lot of politics mixed up in that. We said that's why you don't really, I don't have,
Yeah, but my
go ahead, go ahead. No, you're
yeah,
saying, Cars, go
but my
ahead.
thing is that okay, Abramovich gave up the club. He didn't fight it. He said, well, that's the case. He can give up the club.
But
So he gave up the club. But my whole thing is this then. I don't think he could have exist. He can exist and run this club, even though without the whole Ukraine war in this
FFP,
FFP environment. This FFP financial fair play. This FFP environment have a whole lot of clubs can't do a lot of things they used to do. So yet Chelsea now is trying to circumvent that with this kind of crazy business model. The reason
mm,
why City no buy nobody. The reason why Liverpool even buy nobody, even though they say Liverpool don't need nobody, but they do. Because when Champions League and FA Cup and League Cup start, they're gonna need people. And in the deep, they're not a deep team, bench wise.
mm,
They're gonna need people. And this person and that person are buying nobody, even across Europe. I mean, even the big clubs didn't really buy nobody because of FFP. I mean, I don't think Abramovich could have existed. Who could have can run? Who could have been feel comfortable
but
running the business with
hold
FFP
on.
because of how
But
he didn't want to spend.
Man City get cleared the charges that I had.
Not all,
Man
just
City
some.
get right, but
Not all, just some.
business
They got
people. I can ask
115.
you a
They're
question.
not gonna kill them all
I can
115.
ask you a question, though, right? Is there any rule book in business that you know about? You see a rule book and how
Uh,
people do business because a lot of people are on a lot on how to do that right now. I understand that one better than next. City did something. I think people going after City too, right? I'm gonna take a bit of jealousy too because City came
mm,
from virtually I wouldn't say nowhere because an Indonesian guy used to own them before. This man Ericsson was the manager. I think
mm.
you will remember that he led Goran Ericsson. He
Yeah, there's
bought
some.
a
Yeah, a little bit
whole
well about before they get the blow. Mm.
right. He bought a whole team. But what happened was I think the same guy who was the owner at the time he ran in I think he's still in prison, tax evasion. And they turn around and have to sell
Oh,
it to
oh.
the consortium. Yeah, he's from I think
Mm.
he's from Indonesia or something like that. Tax evasion he get locked up. So I have to turn around and sell the team. And that's how the Arabs get it now. Well, I would say Arabs, but yeah. That's how they get the team now.
But I
And
don't.
they did something
But
that a
I
lot of
would not
people
understand why people be jealous of Man City.
pardon? Say again?
I don't understand why people. I don't understand why people would be jealous of Man City because Chelsea did the same thing.
But listen, you gotta
Chelsea
remember
got
how
bought
English
by a
fans
big
are.
owner
You got
and by
but
everybody that may be a star.
but listen, this is how England works, right? I live there. The traditionalists are Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United. Three of them, right?
Yeah.
For years, there were the three teams who were doing well in England. Look past Nottingham
Mm.
Forest,
True.
look past Aston Villa, look past
Mm.
Blackburn. Those three I just called, right? Sorry, I forgot Liverpool. Those four were always tradition. If you go down through history in English football, there's always been
Mm.
a
True.
Liverpool, an Arsenal, a Manchester United, right? 1995, when the Premiership started. In fact, Leeds won the last one. The last Division 1, Leeds won it. That was 92 before the Premiership started. Because there was talk before
Mm.
about the Super League, which is now the Premiership. Because that was the name of it, I had to talk about that. I was like, that ain't gonna happen, ain't gonna happen. 1992 came along, the Premier League started. And who were the founding clubs? Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal. Right? There were these three founding clubs.
Arsenal.
There were three of the founding clubs in that, right? There were one, three of the founding clubs in that. 1995, it's 95. Blackburn won it, right? When they won, a guy called
Mm.
Clyde, I think it's a Clyde Walker, took over that. He bought Blackburn. He had Alan Shearer, Chris Sutton,
Yeah.
and who the other guy was, man? He was a pundit here the other day. Tim Sherwood. Is Tim Sherwood? The guy played tall for a little bit, and he was a pundit. Sure, he had that. Their bro
Mm.
tradition. English guy, no problem, right? Then it was Arsenal. Arsenal were always the traditional, but then, as you said, when Wenger came, he changed the whole culture of Arsenal, right? I remember when I had Ian Wright, they had the guy from Holland, Mark Overmars, they had Tony Adams. Good,
Yeah, boy.
right.
Boy.
And then Henri, that came along, no Henri, Wiltor, Perez. I love Perez actually. Perez, and there's another
Yeah.
French guy who played with them too. Huh? Patrick Vieira, right?
Yeah,
And he
Vieira. Yeah.
was right. He was the leader, and they became popular because they actually ended Manchester United's dominance. A lot of people don't forget. A lot of people forget that they
Yeah, I
ended
know.
their
We
dominance.
did that. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, but really title. And Ferguson, they really, Ferguson is about Ferguson. And mind you, I may not support him Manchester, but I respect Ferguson for one reason. You see all that nonsense that FL is doing now? They can resign. He time.
Nah, boy.
Because
Be gone.
even listen, he had it with Beckham. He benched Beckham a time, and they were playing Leeds, and they beat
Mhm.
Leeds 2-0. It was Dwight York and Beckham. They turned up for the game. My play 2 and sit down and lead and they beat Leeds 2 and he turned and said, "You make it do it two of you." Right?
Yeah. Well,
Cristiano
he was the
Ronaldo,
boss. He
Perez
was the boss.
because and this is the problem with the modern day player now. A lot of the whole paradigm is shifted now because you have a situation now. You remember the Bosman ruling when the guy went to court and they changed goal transfers, the free agency and all that.
Mhm.
You could
Yeah,
go. You
I
could.
remember that. Yeah.
We
Oh,
probably,
of
I
course.
probably talk about that sometime during the. That changed the whole face of transfers as we know it now. And what happened then
Mm.
is that the employer, the employee, which is the player, became the employer, right? So in other
Mhm.
words, now, if you got a problem with the course on man, you're gonna make those be more. We're gonna get rid of. They get rid of manager,
He get rid of
and if you
manager.
don't,
But you see,
yeah, they get rid of manager.
but, but but that is why it takes a special manager to win in this time. You see, Pep is the boss at City. If you as a manager, you can't get buy-in from your players that they believe in you to the point that even though this is the environment that they exist in, you are the boss. And they will listen to you and they will run through a wall for you. And they got very few managers like that. Like you say, Ancelotti is one of them. He's one of the top class, right? He's the man that get all these stars together with the big money and whatever control they got, and he can get them to play for he, and he can get them to do. So listen, why I want you all to do A, B, and C, and they can do A, B, C, and D. They can do the extra
Mhm.
because that's what it takes to manage nowadays. Not every manager has that. You see your boy Maresca at Chelsea? I'm very sorry, but
You get
he
rid
is
of
there and
trouble.
he's going to be there for about 2 or 3 years. He could be there for 2 or 3 years. The
You get rid
ownership
of trouble.
wants a manager. No, me tell you no. The ownership wants a manager that is going to do
Yes,
what
man.
they want him to do. He's a
Thank
yes
you.
man. That's why Pochettino is
He's a
not
yes
there.
man.
So because you're a yes man, it's quite a yes man. They're not gonna kill
Mhm.
themselves and try and find nobody else. They're gonna struggle with you until they see whatever you decide, whatever you tell them you want to do, they're gonna give you tools they think you need and see if you can accomplish it. They can give about 2 or 3
What do you
years, whether
think?
they lose or not. And don't get it twisted. To me, Chelsea
Mhm.
right now,
What do you think they get rid of Tuchel? Because Tuchel is not a yes man.
they get rid
No,
of
you
who?
want a man who win the champ. Tuchel, not going to get rid of
No,
Tuchel. He
no.
ain't a yes man. The thing is with two shot, look, I'm a guy like this, right? If you win a Champions League, I can listen to you. You understand? Because I want the same thing. And that's when I
Yeah,
heard
because
that
you've
when
been there.
Robert tried to get. And if you look at how Chelsea is now, all the people that are on Abramovich, who's still there? None of them. None of them.
I
Because
think they
that's how
got
the
any of them
Americans
there.
work.
No.
Hmm. The last one resigned
The
here,
clean house.
today. Yeah, that's how the Americans work. Against shift again to politics again. You know when they go on new president in the United States, what is happening? Everybody from down to the tea ladies get clean out. And they
That's
don't
true.
want, and this and that's what Trump ran the last time. Trump get rid of everything that Obama did, right? Everything. So that's what the Americans doing at Chelsea now. The Americans just get rid of everything
But
that
and
Abramovich did because they need to know that. And they're business people. They're not sports people.
mm,
I remember years ago, I can come out here now with this one, right? Arsenal fans are making noise with Kroenke to the one Kroenke going to remember. Robbie Lyle and all that get keeping
I
noise that
remember.
Kroenke needs to go. Good. So you
I
ain't
remember. Yeah.
gonna so you they don't want to go on the record of any. So you don't think for critical some fans
Yeah.
could be the
No, but
Glazers,
listen. But
right?
winning trumps all.
Huh? Same thing West Indies
Winning
cricket.
trumps all,
When
man.
going to Britain, when going to Britain and they playing cricket, did they win it? But it wasn't a problem. Before was a problem. But now the game beat now is a problem. You can't remember a guy said once, boy, when you win it, it don't be a problem. As you start getting beat and lose it is a problem. Anyway, I shift a little bit here now.
Mm.
We know it's segment Paul sometimes remember this. Um, you remember in 1982 World Cup when Brazil lost?
You mean to Italy?
Yeah.
When they had the game sewn up,
Uh,
supposedly. They supposedly had the game sewn up.
Right, because I have a piece here called they call it the day the football died. And
Died.
Socrates presented the
Yeah.
story to the BBC, right? November 2004, Brazil
Mm.
legend. We can always talk about it after too, right? Brazilian
Legend,
football
man.
legend in November 2004, Brazilian football legend Socrates made a famous and short promotional cameo for English non-league side Garforth Town. As a football correspondent, the guy said he arrived in the West Yorkshire firm of Madison Hall. He sports as Socrates, known as the doctor because of his medical degree and also his political engagement, but turned into long hours chat at a local pub. You know, everybody want to listen to it. And here's the thing: they're asking about when they lost to Italy 3 goals to 2. You see, he never watched the game; he just couldn't bear to see it. And you see, you don't need to go through that game again. It's quite unlikely that refusal remain on January 29 when unfortunately passed at the age of 57. That game was a World Cup classic fell on hot Barcelona afternoon 40 years ago. One of the most feted generations of Brazilian footballers saw their dreams shattered by an Italian side that transformed over the tournament, putting a stuttering start behind them on the way to demolishing West Germany final. With the passing of time, many older Brazil fans mellowed, but on 5th of July 1982, that feeling was a crime. That was a crime against football having been committed. In 1982, Brazil was still ruled by the military regime that Steve Power 18 years earlier. But we go on to the game. Spain started to run and scrappy, right. But then when they went to the actual final, then was really know they had top class players: Zico, Socrates, Eder,
Yeah, man.
Falcao.
Legend.
And ironically, right, that game was the best game Brazil ever played, you know. It was the best game.
Really?
I was watching it the other day. I was like wondering, like, why is these boys coming to World Cup? But you know why? They didn't have a defense. They didn't have a defense.
Yeah, but
Because their defense is
but
basically
Brazil.
attack.
Yes, and that Brazil was never a big defensive team because they possessed the ball so much and they were so deadly coming forward and deadly in the midfield. Teams just be frightened for them. So no team really push at them that sort of way. And it's been like that for years though. They've always been like that. Name you
But
can
I ask
you
you,
can name
but
you can name Mm.
If I can name a defender that
Good
Brazil
friend.
ever had, that good. Lucio.
No. They had a couple. They had a couple, but you can't name a whole set of them. But you can name forwards, you
Mm.
can name midfielders though. And even if you name
But
some of the
I
good
can tell you,
defenders, you're probably good because they were attackers too.
when they won in 2002, right? Lucio was Lucio was a rock in our defense. You can remember nothing could get past Lucio. It was like
Yeah,
this thing come
yeah,
from
of
another
course.
planet. And Lucio was one of the best defenders in the world at that time, if
Yeah,
not one of the best. Yeah, I remember the big, tall, halfway. I think
yeah,
he
but
was a tall guy, and he played for. I think he win the Champions League with Inter.
mhm.
If you can remember. And then you had
Yeah, I remember him.
Ed
I
Milson.
remember him.
I think right. And when they won the World Cup in '94, they
You
had
can name a couple,
Marcelo
but you
Santos
can't
and
name
a lot of them. Yeah,
a whole
I
lot.
know.
I guarantee you can rattle off about 5 attackers, 5 midfielders, going and non-stop. Because
That team,
defending wasn't
that
a
82
Brazilian
team,
thing. Listen,
yeah,
huh?
dude, that '82 team was
Brazil,
mean. I mean, it's like you can't remember the day when they lost. That was actually
it is
Kaduma
full of
Day
legends,
here.
man.
Yeah, that was actually Kaduma Day here when that happened. And you know, of course, you didn't have
Huh?
social media what we had now. When the news came
Of
through, like
course.
nobody come. I was like, wait, you serious? Brazil get beat? Nobody can believe it. But then when you saw years after where the guy was like, oh, we see where they get beat now because Junior wasn't really a defender, to be honest. Junior wasn't really a
No.
defender. He was a good attacker. So he knew Cerezo was like,
See?
they have a guy now, Oscar, he's playing
Exactly.
defense. Because I want it,
But to tell
the
you,
goals they gave were elementary goals. Because when you look at Brazil's defense too, right? Brazil never had tall man.
mm,
They had a
no.
guy
No,
named, not tall man. Roberto Carlos was not tall. But Roberto Carlos was tackling
wasn't
you.
even
Then
short.
you know, I don't
It
know.
wasn't that tall either.
Huh?
Short. Huh?
For sure, man.
He
What I'm
was
telling
short.
you
I
is,
tell you about him.
he was one of the best left backs I had. I think Cafu was one of the best right backs who were in the center. The defenders who went up there.
You
I
mean
don't want to work
you
on the
mean
last
Cafu the
time.
man?
Lucio and Rocket Jr., right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rocket Jr. is
You
really a
mean
defensive
Cafu the
midfielder
man?
that can play defense. Hmm?
Cafu is the man that revolutionized playing a right back or left back. He
Yep.
revolutionized that ever since Brazil started playing like that. No, everybody started playing football like that. You know that, right? But to that game though, and in general, Italy has always had a knack of winning tournaments like that. They don't start well,
Hmm.
and when you look around, all of a sudden they're in the final. All of a sudden, they win. They just do a lot of the stuff that look at a lot of that stuff ugly. But right now, the team like in transition in terms of the talent and who they have, right? But they
Hmm.
have had the knack for years of doing that, of playing bad in tournaments. And I think it probably started back at that time,
Hmm.
playing bad in tournaments and coming up and all of a sudden winning a tournament or getting to the finals. They have had that knack for years. And Brazil just feel the brunt of that. But back then Brazil was the juggernaut of world football. I mean,
Because I
before them,
before, a
of
lot
course, you going back to Pele and thing, I think.
as I
Yeah.
mentioned before, a lot of the guys now they're playing Europe now, saying adopt the European style. Because back then, both two or three boys are playing Europe, all the rest is home base. But I can cut it short here now because
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
ready to close. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right before, right before we had trivia, before you came on. Now the
Mm.
question was, who scored the first goal in FIFA 2022 World Cup? You remember?
2022?
Yeah,
Yeah, of course, the
who
fella for
scored the first goal?
first goal. 2022 was in Qatar, right?
All right, this is the answer. Enter Valencia.
In the
Ecuador
Valencia,
versus
right? It was in
Qatar.
the Valencia.
Right. He used to play. He used
Yeah.
to play in England. I think he used to play for West Ham, innit? Yeah. Anyhow, Carlos, I'd like
Or Villa.
to
What is it?
thank you. Yeah, one two. I'd like to thank you for coming on. I can remember bring you on next time to Let you go face to face with Randy.
No problem, anytime.
Right. Right. So that was Carlos Baptiste, our very first fan guest. I love to bring him on regularly. So I'd like to hear from you guys also, the Shins and Boots Football Show. Our email address, shinsandboots@gmail.com. That address again, shinsandboots@gmail.com. And of course, I'd like to thank Randy Bennett for coming in, Carlos Baptiste, my two guests. I'd like to thank Jamar Alves of Sports BB for getting us out there. I'd like to thank you, the fans, for joining us. So until next month, I'm Kevin on the Shins Boot Football Show, and I'm out of here like last year. So you guys take it easy. I'm out.